Yeah, hey gang, coming at you today from a beautiful day in North Carolina. And hey, I want to come at you because I've been thinking about something that's I think going to be really important for you to consider on your journey if you're trying to get yourself, which I know you are because that's why you're here, if you're trying to get yourself in better shape, trying to lose body fat, you want to improve your health, which is, in my opinion, the most important thing. I always say, we want to chase health. Happiness and health really are the two things we want to chase, and all the other things come along with that, right? Meaning having a body that looks great, having the energy that you want, feeling confident about yourself. All these things come when we chase health and happiness. And one thing that when I talk to people on the phone is I get this question a lot of times, like, was that really you in the picture? If you've seen my ad, you know what I'm talking about. So I have this picture of me out running, and I'm just in the back of a gym running. We're doing laps around this building, and the answer is yes. And they're like, well, how do you get abs like that? And I said, the thing is, I never set out with an intention of getting abs. Like, that was never my goal. My goal was health and happiness, and that's what manifested. It's just what came about when you go on this journey, and when you chase health and you chase happiness, you make the right decisions, right? You start doing things a little bit differently. You start thinking a little bit differently, and you start to hopefully enjoy the journey, right? And if you're in it for the long term, like I am, if you're in it for the long game, which if you're chasing health and happiness, you have to have a long game perspective. So if you have that perspective, it gives you a completely different sense of mission, right? It no longer becomes the sprint at how quickly can I lose 20 pounds. It becomes a journey. And if you embark on this journey, there's a good chance you're going to enjoy the journey, right? You're going to start to settle into it, and you're going to start to develop some new habits and build some new skills. And that's what's ultimately going to bring you to this much, much better place, right? So, that's actually, I always get off track here, but that's not why I came here. But I think it's important to know that when you chase health and happiness, good things will happen, right? And making that mindset shift. So the reason I'm here is because I want to talk about a big mistake I see a lot of people making on their journey when they decide to get themselves in a better place, right? So what am I talking about? Let's talk about nutrition. So nutrition is it's one of these things that I think we've got all wrong. And when I say all wrong, I'm going to lump myself into the category of being a fitness and nutrition professional. Although I've had so much resistance in calling myself that because I know it lumps me into a category of chaos. That's really good. But there's a lot of unprofessionalism. There's a lot of messiness and noise. There's a lot of scams. There's a lot of bullshit. It's kind of crazy, and it's quite frankly, it's something that I've tried to stay away from as much as possible. And I know that sounds kind of crazy because I'm in that world, but the weird thing is I don't want to be in that world, if that makes any sense at all. There's so much I hate about it, yet so much I love about it because I know there's such a better way that, what's being peddled out there it's a mess, right? Let me talk about one thing specifically. Let's talk about macros. So lately, I'm going to say, sorry, I'm walking through some deep grass kind of in the woods here, and it's like prime snake season here. So if you see me jump, you know exactly why I'm jumping. But so let's talk about macros. But macros is one of these things that over the last few years, kind of see where I'm at, right? Over the last few years has been really popularized because we're trying to, everybody's telling you need to get a certain amount of carbohydrates, a certain amount of protein, a certain amount of fat, and you sort of obsess over these things and you track these numbers. And I'm kind of looking at this and I'm amazed at how many people are jumping on this bandwagon. It's kind of mind-blowing, right? And I'm talking it's probably been popularized over the last 4 or 5 years, maybe a little bit longer. But, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, am I doing something wrong here by not tracking this stuff? And in full disclosure, I used to track some of that stuff like 15, 16, maybe even 17 years ago, and I hated it. It was a pain in the ass. So I tried to simplify things, and I got away from doing that. And I'm here to tell you, 17 years later, 15 years later, whatever, it's unnecessary. And I've made it a mission of mine to try and eliminate the words carbohydrates, proteins, and fats from everybody's vocabulary. Look, it's a hard thing to do, right? Because it's been pounded in our brain. Even for me going back to college, that's what we were taught. That's what we learned. I have an exercise science degree, which was kind of a joke, but if we can eliminate those words from our vocabulary completely, I think all of a sudden we start to look at nutrition a little bit differently. Instead of calories, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, now we have to ask the question, like, so what do I eat? If I don't track that stuff, what should I be eating? And let me give you a hypothetical situation. Let's say that all of the grocery stores and all of the restaurants shut down tomorrow. And wow, kind of interesting because we're, it's partially true, right? The grocery stores are obviously still going, but if we had no access to quick and simple food, if we couldn't just run to the grocery store, what would you eat? What would you do? Would you concern yourself with carbohydrates, proteins, and fats? Do you think that by not concerning yourself with those things that you would get fatter and more unhealthy? And these are the questions, the thought experiments that I was doing many, many years ago when I was trying to figure this whole thing out and simplify this process. And the answer should be a resounding no. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to worry about carbohydrates, proteins, and fat. I'm going to worry about getting some food in my face so I don't starve to death. And what am I going to have access to? Am I going to have access to the highly processed, refined, manufactured food that are coming from the giant food corporations? No, those are going to be kind of history, right? So what does that leave us with? It leaves us with what I'm going to call the real macros, the macros that matter. And what are the macros that matter? Meat, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and fruit. Let me ask you this. If you changed your mindset right now and you started focusing on on consuming those things as your primary food source, what do you think would happen to you if you did that for a year? What do you think would happen to you if you did that for 5 years? How about 10? How about 15? Do you think that your body would get rid of a lot of the excess body fat? Do you think that your blood pressure could go to normal? Do you think that your cholesterol would get better? Do you think that your HbA1c would get better? I'm here to tell you, and you're probably shaking your head going, yeah. And we kind of all know this, and I'm here to tell you that it's true. Your health improves. When we eliminate a lot of the crap that's out there, it's amazing how much better your body becomes. It really is. It's almost so simple, it's laughable. So reframe this whole thing. Don't obsess over some of those other things. Because if you obsess over those other things, I'm telling you, you're focusing on the wrong stuff. You're going to get lost. And there's a good chance maybe you'll see some results, but we all know it's not going to be sustainable, right? You're going to end up buying a bunch of protein shakes and vitamin pills and all this other stuff. And you're probably shaking your head because you're probably doing that, right? Or you've done it. So make it simple. And look, if you'd like my help with this, if you'd like step-by-step process, a way to plug this into your life so that it can be something that you can sustain literally forever and ever. If you need help, if you understand the value of having someone at your side walking down this road with you to make sure that you get to a much better place and that you're able to sustain it, because I truly believe the holy grail is sustainability. It is. Holy grail is sustainability. So if you want some help, reach out. I'm happy to help you, and I'll tell you exactly how we can do that. But first things first, start changing your mindset. Start thinking about some of this stuff. These are really good thought experiments, and if they're going to improve your health, it's some of the best work that you can do. All right, have a great day.